Hello everyone, and welcome back to another R tutorial video. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to replicate the base R graphic that we made with the two different point data sets and trend lines using GGPLOT2. And I'm hopeful that with this video we can clarify that whole idea of how we make the legend and make that a little bit clearer. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off with our base call to ggplot. Now, just like in the previous example with the histograms, we're actually going to leave this blank because we want all of the subsequent geom calls to be able to bring in their own data. So we're going to hit that, and we're going to start with the point data set. So that's geom underscore point. And then in here we have to pass in our data, which we will do I underscore setosa. And then we have to pass in our mapping call and our aesthetic function, telling the geom call what to use for x and y. We're going to have x equal to sepal dot length and y equal to sepal dot width. And then we're going to do another point call. And this point call we are going to do the same thing as before, except instead of I setosa, we're going to do I versicolor. And then we're going to set the mapping equal to an aesthetics call. And the aesthetics call is going to be the exact same thing. Sepal dot length and y is going to be sepal dot width. No space there. So if we run this, what we will end up with is two different data point sets. You can't really tell they're different because we haven't differentiated them yet. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to incorporate those trend lines that we saw in the previous base R graphic. And the way that you do that is through a layer called geom, because it's a geometry, and we're going to use the smooth geometry. And so you'll see here, if you look quickly, that there is a parameter called method, and that is how you specify what type of smoothing you want to apply. And we'll get to that in just a second. I just want to draw your attention to it now while it's popped up. So we have to do just like we did before. We have to specify our data. We're going to specify I setosa, and then we have to specify our mapping, and we want to map the comma there. Specify our mapping. The aesthetic function x is going to be sepal dot length, and y is going to be equal to sepal dot width. And now what we are going to do is we are going to add in another geom underscore smooth, and we are going to pass into that data equals I underscore setosa, a mapping of an aesthetics call to bring in x equals sepal dot length, y equals sepal dot width. So what I want to do now is I want to go back in to both of these geom calls, and I want to set up the method. And I want to set the method equal to lm. So this may not make a whole lot of sense to you why I'm picking lm, and that's okay. Suffice it to say, LM stands for linear model, So this is basically going to add a trend line, which is based on linear regression. And you'll notice if you look up here in the code that I set up for base R, you'll see this LM appearing up here as well. It's just a good basic way to generate a linear trend line. So if we run this, hopefully I haven't caused any errors here. Oh, I actually did cause an error. I should have changed that to versicolor. I retyped the same thing. So let's run that again, and you'll see that with no other effort here, we have a basic trend line for each data set, and we have the points without any color. So what I want to do now is I want to start cleaning things up a little bit. I want to start off by cleaning up these trend lines. Actually, no, let's start off by changing and setting up the points to make the points look nice. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to change the shape. And we do that with the shape parameter. And if you remember back to our video on shape, we can use those numeric indexes. And we're going to numerically index 16 here. And then we're going to go into the versicolor, and we're going to go shape equals 17 there. So this is going to be the circles, and this is going to be the triangles, just like what we had up here. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to change the color. But what we're going to do is we're going to think ahead a little bit to when we go to generate our legend. And we're going to actually put it inside of here. And what I'm going to do is this is going to seem weird here, is I'm actually going to prove to you something that I stated in a previous video, that when we are putting a fixed value in here, right, this is acting as a label for when we generate our legends later. And I'm going to prove that to you by putting this and calling it set for Setosa, and by going in here and doing color equals ver here. Now, if I run this right now, it is likely going to crash. Oh, I guess set and ver actually were able to be used. I kind of thought that was going to crash. But anyway, what I've done here is I've picked things that are completely nonsensical in terms of colors, but they're very important to us for sort of keeping track of what we're talking about. This is going to be our grouping here. The next thing that I want to do is I want to set these smoothing lines up in much the same way. So what I want to do is inside of the Setosa call, I want to set the color equal to, and I want to use set here as well. And then here I want to use color equals ver. So you can see here that we're using set and ver here to group these together. Now I want to do one last thing here, and that is I want to change the line type. And that is done by using the line type. That should be LM, but it's done by using the line type parameter. And again, this works just like we have with shape. There's a series of indexed defaults, and we're going to go with 2, which is the dashed line. And then we can do the same thing with our other call to geom.smooth, and it looks like we may have accidentally deleted that. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this here and switch iSetosa for ver. So if, and switch this from set to ver. So what I want to do is I want to run this. And you can see here that we've improved the look considerably. So what I want to do now is actually end this video, and we'll spend the next video doing one last little bit of cleanup and then going back through on how we can adjust this legend here. So if anything seemed confusing, I know there was a lot here. I know there's a lot of copying and pasting. So if you feel confused by anything, please pause the video, go back, rewatch the parts you're confused about, and as always, please reach out. Thank you.